Well, dude, should we get that song going and start talking about some unwritten rules? I want to know what Jared's unwritten rules are. Find out how many of them I've already broken when I come visit his house.
I want to know the unwritten rules you tell us from some list. I can't wait.
I knew it. I know before you go to sleep at night, Jared, you're thinking, I can't wait to hear those lists Chad's going to read off of for the next podcast. Does that make me the numbers guy now, Jared?
Was I the numbers guy before or something? What do you mean does that now?
I mean, I would jokingly say that I know the guy with the facts.
What facts
Back
do
in
I
the
have?
day.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I used to just say that stuff, you know. This is a podcast for fun, Jared. Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. We are here today to talk about some unwritten rules in different places. Unwritten rules are things that you might not know about unless you visited that before or you have some friends or family from that culture, and it can just be good to know sometimes going to different places. Different places have very different views on punctuality, on also like your personal space bubble. There's all sorts of different ones that we're going to explore and talk about today. So stay tuned for that. Very excited to bring that your way. And without further ado, I am joined by my co-host, my good buddy. What's going on, Jared?
Hello, everyone. And by everyone, I mean the one. Welcome to the pod. Is it unwritten or unspoken?
Maybe both.
A rule can be unwritten, but not unspoken. Excuse me, hold on. Or
is it the other way around?
A rule can be unwritten, can be unspoken and unwritten. It can also be unwritten and spoken.
Sure.
Is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not saying we need to, but I guess even for like the title of this episode, should I go unwritten or unspoken? What do you think?
Ooh, well, I guess it depends at the end of the day which rules we talk more about, the unspoken ones or the What to you is the big difference between those? Because I kind of view them as at least very, very similar.
Yeah. No,
is unspoken more like a little bit more taboo, like kind of like hush, like we don't talk about that, but you should know about it kind of thing?
You know, this is why I bring it up, because when I was doing my research in my head, not even research, I wasn't doing research. When I was just like thinking of my own personal unwritten / unspoken rules, I feel like I was going back and forth on the terminology in my head, and then I was like, well, which one is it? I think unwritten. I can't even begin. I think unwritten probably is something like, this is something we all do, but it's not a law. Unspoken seems more like either it's more.
Could that be a law, but you don't talk about it?
A law but you don't talk about it? What's a law that you don't talk about?
Like it's unspoken, like it's been written as a law, but like nobody like you know, we did an episode on blue laws.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you see someone walking their alligator with their 5-foot leash, and you're like, "Oh, that needs to be a 6-foot leash," but you don't say anything to them. It's like I don't know. I have no idea. I was going with unwritten myself, Jared.
I can completely imagine.
For this episode, we could
in
certainly
Florida,
do both.
someone would be walking an alligator down the street with like a 12-foot leash.
Pet gator, Bobby.
And someone would be like, "Oh no, what? That needs to be a 6-foot leash."
Right.
You can't
only
do
5
that.
foot 11 inches.
That's
Needs to be 6 feet.
You need a 6-foot leash, and then you're completely fine. This is the least of our
Exactly.
Florida concerns. All right, well, I guess we'll never know. But I think I'm going to go with unwritten since you said it. I guess that's why I'll go with it.
Hopefully, I haven't ruined all your pod prep, Jared.
No.
We can talk about both, though, unwritten and unspoken, because maybe by the end of the episode, we'll get down to the...
You keep saying it like it's a different thing, but we'll figure it out.
Maybe it's
not.
Maybe it's not.
I got you. I guess we'll figure it out. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. I have nothing to talk about, by the way, so we can just go to Untranslatables. But I guess, but I'm just gonna lie and contradict myself. I assume you saw Ronaldo went to Man U.
I actually did want to talk about that.
Did you want to talk about it?
For the longest time, I had been seeing once again, you never know with these soccer news media
now
outlets,
Mbappe
right?
wants to leave.
But well, the funny thing is that you saw, Mbappe was going to leave PSG, and then some people were speculating Ronaldo was going to join them there. And
PSG?
I
didn't see that.
Like I
That
had seen a couple
speculation.
articles.
No.
I almost sent him your way too.
That's too easy.
They were
I don't want to see your German articles, Chad.
I knew you were going to say that. That's why I didn't send him to you.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to read them.
But
no,
I do think there's something cool about him coming back to kind of the first really like huge club that like he was a part of, and he won the Champions League with them.
Sure.
He won the Premier League. I think he won basically almost every trophy you can win with a British team.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool to see him go there, and it's always cool to see like these big players go to like just a different league in general. France, I mean, to be fair, their league is not as exciting as the Premier League, but it is. So it'll be probably more exciting to watch like the Premier League games with Ronaldo versus the La Ligue or whatever they call it, French game. I don't know. But anyway, also maybe it's just also I should clarify easier for me.
Right.
Because I know how to work NBC Sports where the Premier League games are. I'll say this though. I think it's always fun to see big moves in general, no matter what the sport. That's always exciting. Part of it is where people move to. I would say he's less exciting to me than Messi, because Messi has only been with Barcelona his whole life, and Ronaldo's moved around a couple times, and his last move, his last move was to Juventus, which he's been at for like what 3-4 years.
I think so.
Which is like it's a good run, but it's not. It's nothing like it's not like him leaving Juventus is like, oh, him and Juventus have such a beautiful history together. It's like, all right, well,
right.
He left a club that he was at for a bit, but whatever. That's how. I mean, not whatever, but it's to me, it's not as exciting as the Messi move.
Right. Well, I think the reason why it's not is both of these were very sudden, but the Messi move, it was like you heard that he wasn't able to sign his contract with Barcelona, Barcelona. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but they had some issues, and he even said he was going to take a big pay cut, and it still just wasn't enough, I guess. And then he went to PSG, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing with Ronaldo, I guess, is like I figured he was going to go to, a team at least in the Premier League, or maybe I was thinking maybe Spain. But the fact that he said that his history with Real Madrid had already been written, basically meaning like it's over. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine him joining another team in La Liga. That wouldn't be Real Madrid. But wouldn't that be crazy?
But he's still got a lot more business left with England, which is he was at Man U forever as well. I don't know. Not forever.
Yeah, he was there for a while. I used to be a pretty big Man U fan. They had him. They had Rooney.
Nani.
They were a
I
beastly
used to
team
like
back in
Nani.
the day.
I remember using them on FIFA back in the day.
sure.
Maybe like 2008, 2007. Is that around the time it was?
Those were the days. I think so. Yeah, because it was just before we were in high school, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, anyways, crazy. It's just crazy to think, especially all of the pictures and videos I was seeing about like the upcoming Champions League. Of course, Ronaldo was still on Juventus's team, so all the pictures are still with him in Juventus. Like I was scrolling through Instagram a little bit yesterday, I saw that, and I was like, this is just too funny because now he's at Man U. So it's like, I wonder how that will also influence Juventus's chances. But they're still a pretty strong team.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. And I'm sure now they have some money to bring in some other, big dog. Maybe not Ronaldo, but I'm sure they have some space in the budget now for some level of big dog that they can bring in from somewhere. They'll figure it out. They'll be fine. They've been fine without him for many years, right up until the women's team put up that racist Asian post for no reason.
Oh God, yeah,
that's really what did them
so
in.
ridiculous.
Not Ronaldo leaving.
Right. Yeah. Oh man.
All right, dude. Do you have any?
It's crazy.
Do you have any shout-outs?
I don't. Not for this episode.
Okay.
So let's get into some untranslatables. I think you know what time it is, Jared. It is time for idioms, proverbs, sayings, axioms that don't always translate on a one-to-one basis into English. And I will get us started today, Jared, with a Dutch untranslatable. This one is a good one. Laat ze een poepie ruiken.
Can you say it again?
Laat ze een poepie ruiken. Maybe popie?
No, I got
Poepie ruiken.
I got nothing out of that.
Laat ze, like lassen sie, laat ze een poepie. What do you think that could be?
Oh yeah,
Yep,
I've done this one
very
before.
good.
Yeah, okay, I remember this one.
Oh, have you? Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying I remember it. I'm not saying I know what it means. I'm just saying now I remember. I remember saying poopy. How could I forget poopy?
Right. That's hard to forget. That's true. Let them smell a poopy, Jared. And speaking of sports, this is something you could say if you're watching Ronaldo play Messi on PSG.
Now I don't know. Now I'm going to explain to you what happened in Formula One today, and I would like you to somehow figure out how you could insert this untranslatable into what happened today. Because what happened today was a farce of a race.
I'm excited.
So this race was in Belgium at Spa, one of the greatest and most historic Formula One tracks out there. It's amazing. It has the iconic. Sorry, I'm watching my neighbors walk down the street. It has the iconic Eau Rouge turn. It's just an amazing track. It's one of my favorites. But it's in Belgium, which is a pretty rainy place, which you can race in the rain. But, you know, there are limits when it comes to racing. It can't be. And so it was just pouring. And it started off with they were doing the formation lap, which is a lap they just do going slow to get to their grid spots, where then they sit for a bit before they actually start racing. Someone crashed on that, which is just, you know, you're just puttering around
happens.
like you're going to CVS on that lap, and someone crashed. And so they red flag, which means they paused the race. And they're like, all right, we got to wait for the race to slow the rain to slow down. It's too crazy. We can't do this. And so hour goes by. Still waiting. Another hour goes by. Still waiting. No race. And this is all being broadcasted live. So these broadcasters really are the winners of that day. They had to vamp for 4 hours, literally. They go out, and so apparently they have all these stupid rules to where officially for it to be a race, you have to do 2 laps, and then you get 50% of the points. If you do 75% of the race, then you're eligible for all the points. So they did 2. So they start. So like, all right, we're gonna start the race. It was still raining, still raining super hard, and apparently it's not the grip that's the issue. It's the visibility that's the issue. That's what they say. But anyway, so they go out for these 2 laps, and they start behind the safety car. So what that means is there's a car that sort of controls the pace, a normal car that the race cars follow, and eventually, once they deem that it's safe, the safety car will go away, off the track, and they'll just start racing from a roll when it's conditions like this. But the race starts. So those laps that you do behind the safety car, those are real
still
laps.
Count. Okay.
So they did 2 of those behind the safety car, just going slow or whatever. And they red flag again, which means they pull the race back in. But now they've done 2 laps technically, so they've done a race. So a race has happened, and then they wait for another essentially 2 hours because you have a window. Because you have a window of like 4 hours ish, and then the race ends. And then they have the podium ceremony. So everyone gets half points, which I haven't seen. So now some teams have like 0.5 points, which I have never seen in the couple of years that I've been watching. And the fastest lap was they gave the fastest
Lewis
lap,
Hamilton,
which makes no sense because technically someone is going faster than everyone else. But this was a safety car lap, so they were behind the safety car, all just in a line, and the fastest lap was given only because he just happened to slightly by .000 something of a millisecond go faster than people. Was given to one of the agreed upon worst F1 drivers on the grid right now.
No, really?
If you're not in the top 10, which he wasn't because he didn't qualify in the top 10, then you don't get any points for it. So he didn't get any points for it. But it was just a full such a farce of a Formula One race. So I took a nap through it, came back, still no racing happened. I cleaned my house, no racing happened. So yeah, could you somehow apply your untranslatable to that?
It would be like if the Formula One racer who won it but didn't win any points, if he came up to Lewis Hamilton afterwards and he was like, "That's right, I'm gonna let you smell a poopy."
I have another example of how that happened.
Okay.
The second place winner, the second place on the podium, beat Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton was third because in the second place was in the also mutually agreed upon second worst team on the grid.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Granted, he's an amazing driver, and he had an amazing qualifying lap in the wet, but it would be kind of funny for him to like dunk on Lewis for beating him.
Right.
Because if the race would happen,
let you smell that
Lewis
poopy.
likely would have passed him pretty quickly if the race would have actually happened. But someone in the second worst team and second worst car on the grid did beat Lewis Hamilton. So it's like bragging, undeserved bragging, essentially.
Actually, no.
Wow.
I would say it would be misplaced. It would be more like
okay.
It would be
What's
more
the
like
difference between misplaced and undeserved?
Well,
Why would you say no to undeserved? Because if it's misplaced, then they don't deserve
you're right.
it.
It is undeserved. It's undeserved, and I guess the difference would be you could be undeserving of something, but you could still think you deserved it. So that's why I was going with misplaced. Like you think that you can say this, but you shouldn't really say that. That's why it's misplaced. Anyways.
You see how quickly, by the way, this is for everyone listening. You see how quickly Chad was to say no when still, even your explanation, I'm like, those sound like the same thing to me, but fine. I was wrong. I was wrong.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, I was wrong, Chad.
Let me give you another example, though, Jared. It would be like when, speaking of Cristiano Ronaldo, when he scored that crazy bicycle kick during that one game, and he was like, that would be like if we were watching it, and then I was like, woo, like, let them smell that poopy.
Oh, have I still not gotten down to what this means?
Not quite, no.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, wait, but you just said it's undeserved.
You can use it to talk smack.
Excuse me. You said it's misplaced bragging or something.
No, I said that example I gave you, which was not a good example. So that's why I gave you the second example with Cristiano Ronaldo doing the bicycle kick. And then if I was like, oh, yeah, like let them smell that poopy.
This has got to go down as one of the longest single untranslatables.
Probably. Let me just give it to you.
Between my Formula One explanation that took about 10 minutes.
To show them how it's done. Let me show you how it's done, basically. Or like he showed them how that's done.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply that you had to give it to me right away. Sorry. I don't.
You're good.
Because I was still willing to guess. My first untranslatable is Japanese, and it's kao ga hiro I. Probably E. To have a wide face.
Oh, is this to be two-faced?
No, it's to have a wide face.
Or is it the opposite?
What's the opposite of being two-faced?
Lots of people like you. You're very social.
Yeah.
You're popular.
I don't think it's the opposite, but you're right that is what to be. Two-faced is to be like conniving or sneaky. You can have friends and be conniving.
I mean, you can, but
some of the best
people know you're conniving.
What are you talking about, dude? Some of the best connivers have a shit ton of friends.
That's true.
Who are you conniving?
Is that?
I guess they're not their friends because they're stealing from them. But I don't think that's the opposite. But you got it right nonetheless. It means to have a lot of friends.
Okay, nice. I like that.
I think the opposite of being two-faced is to be very trustworthy.
I agree.
Or loyal.
Being very transparent.
Yeah.
As well.
I don't think friends has anything to do with that. You can be a lot of friends and also cheat other people that aren't your friends.
That's true. That's true.
Bernie Madoff became a billionaire by having a lot of millionaire friends and cheating them all. Sorry, go ahead, please. Just go ahead.
I guess that's a plus of having friends like that, right? My next one for you is Arabic. Allah ad lihafak mid.
Did you say fuck? Fuck?
Lihafak.
Okay.
Is what it says here. This means stretch your legs as far as your blanket extends, Jared.
It's like give it all you got, you know?
Nope. Nope.
You were so excited.
be like,
you love to say no. It's very disturbing.
It's fun. Sometimes you got to just say no, Jared. It would be like if you told me, you're like, you know what? F this place. I'm going to move into a 10-bedroom, 10-bathroom mansion.
It's like money related.
It is money related, yep.
Is it like outspending yourself? Outspending what you have? No, but it's not.
So
it's living within your budget because you said to stretch it as
there
far
you go.
as your...
You got it. You got it. Living within
so
your
you're
budget.
about to give me an example of
means.
living outside of your budget.
Correct.
Okay. I'm so glad I figured it out before you gave your example because that would have been terrible.
But you did figure it out. That's the key.
My next untranslatable is Portuguese, and it's alimentar burro a pau de lo. To give good treatment to someone who doesn't need it. Oh shit!
Sounds like you just gave me the meaning.
I fucked up with my
What what does it? What's the literal translation?
I messed up with my note taking, and I put the.
You said that so smooth though. For a minute
I was
like,
so proud of myself. I totally, I since we've started this, I've had essentially the same. I have a note template, and I actually take notes, and I have the same template, and I put the Portuguese where I usually put the literal. And then I just went down to the next line, which is the meaning.
Right.
But I did not. Somehow
Not
I did not
literal.
actually get the literal. So I messed that up. I guess I can tell you what the literal means. Why not? Who cares? Who cares? You know.
I want to hear it.
I know you love to take a lot of time on the untranslatable, so let's do it. Feed a donkey sponge cake. That's what it means.
Okay. To give someone something that they don't deserve is what you said, right?
Yeah. Why doesn't a donkey deserve sponge cake? Isn't a donkey a working horse?
Maybe it's bad for it.
Oh,
I don't know.
Could be. Probably not though. It's probably fine. I mean, what am I talking about? Sponge cake is bad for everyone. It's bad for humans.
That's probably fair. That is probably fair. My next one for you, Jared, is Dutch. These Dutch ones are just fantastic. Boontje komt zijn loontje, which means a bean comes for his salary. I think you could maybe, to help you a little bit, I would say if you translated it, a bean comes from his salary maybe makes more sense.
A bean comes from his salary?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like...
Or like that bean comes from his salary.
Is that like saying bringing home the bacon or something?
No. Say, we were talking about laptop problems or computer problems before the episode. Say I come over to your place, we record in person, and I accidentally spill one of those nice Topo Chicos you have at your place all over your fancy brand new laptop, and then you could say that bean's coming from your salary.
Oh, it just means you're going to pay for that?
Yeah, I'll give that one to you. It's more so just it's your fault. Because I spilled the Topo Chico, right? It's my fault.
I see. So it's not as literal as the salary connection I was making. I got you. Okay. I don't have any more.
Just somebody's fault.
I'm sure you
All right,
do,
let me give you one last Dutch one, Jared, because I think this one's a funny one. Here we go. It is helaas pindakaas, which means unfortunately peanut butter.
Is that just like fell into some luck? It's like it was going to be.
I would say it would be a phrase you would say the opposite of if you fell into some good luck and you didn't care.
You fell into some bad luck.
Many fregista.
And you say many fregista.
Say I mean kind of, yeah. It is in a way it's kind of. Yeah, it kind of is a many fregista, actually, Jared. It basically just means too bad. Like, too bad. But that is kind of a many fregista, right? I mean, really.
Okay. So I got a kinda.
Am I right? Like, I feel like if somebody's just like, too bad.
Yeah.
That's kind of like,
what
I
many
don't care.
fregista is. It's like F it, whatever.
Right, whatever. Whatevs. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the kids say that anymore.
The kids haven't said that since even before we were kids, to be honest with you.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
I don't know where you
Well,
heard
Jared,
that.
should we talk about some unwritten rules to keep ourselves and other people safe from embarrassment, shame, and ridicule out
I'd
there?
love to talk about some unspoken rules, Chad. Is
Let's
that what
do
we're?
it.
Oh,
Let's
it's
do it.
okay. I thought
Unwritten or unspoken?
I thought they were like rules. I thought we were talking about rules to just of like the what we expect from society.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
made it seem.
What
you
are
said
some
to
that you
avoid
have?
shame.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to, go against some of these rules and then feel shameful or embarrassed of yourself.
Okay. Well, all right. These are my unwritten rules or unspoken rules that I personally live by, and then there's one that I want to ask you about. I don't really have a firm take on it per se. Saying please and thank you is a basic,
Ooh, that's a big one.
That one.
Go ahead, Jared.
No, please, Chad.
That I like how we both said that one though. That was kind of cool. That one is tricky though because it's very contextual, especially in different countries. For example, when I was doing some homework before this episode, turns out in Japan, Jared, you don't always say please and thank you to your waiters or waitresses. And I also noticed when I was in China, I also saw a lot of people not really say thank you to the waiters or waitresses. And when I would say thank you, a lot of times they would kind of look at me. So I wonder if that's one of those unwritten rules as well, though, is when to say please and thank you.
So you're telling me I'm going to counter and say I don't believe you. I don't believe. I believe that they don't say please and thank you. That makes sense. But I don't. That doesn't make sense or whatever. But I believe that. I don't believe that you saying thank you or please is why there is caused them to give you some sort of weird look. Like I don't think they were like, why would you say thank you? Like
Right.
Maybe they don't expect it from, but there's no way you said thank you and they're like, what? I don't believe that.
Get out of my store.
I don't believe that. I'm going to stick to what I say and say that even if they don't expect you to say it, and certain culturally maybe they might not expect you to say please or thank you in certain instances where you expect it in other places. Here in the U.S. or in England, they're annoyingly polite.
Right.
It's like, oh, sorry, thank you, but sorry, please. I would just, if you have a minute, please, sorry. And it's just like, just get it out. You don't need to.
Right.
So I can understand maybe that might vary, but I would also argue that no one finds it weird for you to say please, even if they don't expect it. I can't imagine they'd be like, what? Why would you say please when you ask me for something?
Right. Well, it's more of, I think, them just looking and being like, oh, like look at that foreigner, trying to speak very terrible Chinese. And I don't know, it's just culturally a little bit different. But I do agree with you that please and thank you.
This is just what you imagine in your head. These are all things I'm asking you.
Oh,
or,
no. This happened when I was living in China.
They said, look at you, you funny foreigner. Say,
no, of course they didn't say that, but you could kind of read people's facial expressions a little, Jared.
Okay.
What else you got?
You don't have anything? We can't do like a back and forth? You just...
We can do a back and forth. Have you ever heard of El Ultimo, Jared?
Oh, you have a list? Sorry, never mind. I don't want to hear...
This is why I wanted to get yours out first.
Okay.
But here, have you ever heard of El Ultimo?
The ultimate?
Yeah.
No.
This is in Cuba. So I love this idea, Jared, and I wish we could do something like this in America. And I think we kind of do it in some places, but let me explain, and then we'll get your take on it as well. So in Cuba, it often looks like there's no line, but there is. It's called El Ultimo. When you arrive somewhere, ask El Ultimo, and whoever is last in line will raise their hand. You are now El Ultimo, like the last, the last person in line, I guess. And you just know who is in front of you.
It's kind of an untranslatable.
In the meantime, you can sit down in some shade.
That's kind of an untranslatable, because it doesn't really... that sucks though, because so you have to go around and ask everyone who's El Ultimo, or
I think you probably just go El Ultimo and just say it loud enough, and somebody's like, right?
I guess so. I still don't like that either. You make it seem like that's better.
I don't know if it's better.
You know me, I like to not.
Yeah,
talk
I don't know. I mean, in the U.S., we don't even have a close equivalent. But I was thinking of like when you pull numbers from like the DMV.
Or
Yeah.
at like a, I mean, you don't go to grocery stores, but like at like a like a meat counter or something. You know,
Right.
we
305.
yeah. Which
Yep.
always it never seems to go as smoothly as it seems like it should.
I agree.
Maybe this is just a personal grievance that I need to take up with my personal grocery store. But I'm always like,
Right.
do you have the numbers yet? Every time I come here, the number's like 6 behind. And you're like, 32, 38. What am I doing? I don't know how to count. 32, 33, 34. Yet they'll like...
They skip your number.
Yeah, then you got to be... like, put your hand up in a split second. Like, now we're playing a game here. And then
Right.
someone's going to be like, well, I'm 39. It's like, well, no, I'm 38. Sorry, I just have a shoulder issue. And I couldn't get
I
it
couldn't
up
get
in
my
time.
arm up quick enough. Exactly.
All right. I like that, though. That's fun. I could also see that coming in handy in school, especially like elementary, middle school.
Right. I will say this, though, too, Jared, about lines. Lines in general, I think there's a lot of unwritten rules around those, especially in numerous cultures, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no cutting,
some
first of all,
cultures are
just to be
very-
basic about it.
Ooh,
I mean,
yep.
there's no
Yep.
rule in most grocery I imagine stores don't have rules on the books about cutting, but
Right.
for the most part, people don't do it. And if they do, you either
You'd
say
hope not.
something or you don't, and you think about it for the rest of the day.
Right. Yeah, there's no other option. I hate to say this, but when I was coming back from Germany, Jared, there was like a long line and it split into two and then it like converged. And like just the way it turned out, like me and two other guys kind of got in front and you could view it as cutting. But we were just walking the path we were supposed to walk. And the lady kind of looked at me and this other guy. She was like, you know, back of the line's there. And the guy was like, we walked here and this was like and then thankfully she was probably thinking about it all day long, just like you said.
She
But,
needs to mind her own business.
I don't know. Part of
She
me
didn't
was
get
like,
cut,
should
did
I go to
she?
the back? Yeah, well, we were in front of her, yeah.
But because she was in a different line.
Right, and then they kind of, it was
yeah,
weird.
yeah,
we
I
had to like
gotcha.
walk
I
around.
gotcha.
They rerouted security, and so we had to like walk around. And
You know, I think about
anyways,
that
it
at
was like,
stop signs sometimes. If like I've been waiting in a long line through a stop sign, but then someone just comes up. Sure, they're next, but it's like, yeah, but I've been waiting. You just got here.
Right.
Now I have to let you go.
Right.
It's like I understand how stop signs work, but I don't like it. That's all I'm saying. I don't like. You should realize how long this line has been for me, but not for you.
People don't have that much empathy, unfortunately, Jared.
To be fair, they probably shouldn't. That's an unnecessary level of empathy. I probably should not take it so personally. All right. Here's some unspoken rules. Let's talk about some unspoken bathroom rules. I've been thinking about this one.
Okay. Uh-oh. You thinking about it because I came over last time?
I mean public bathroom rules because you came over last
okay.
time. I don't even remember the last time you were here.
It's been a couple weeks. It's been a while.
No, that's not why I was thinking about it. I've already
Unwritten
forgotten you were
well,
here.
well, if you're a dude, obviously the urinals
That's what I'm talking
is
about.
a
Yes.
big one. Is that-
yes.
Okay. You just didn't want to say it. Did you want me to say
No,
it,
I have
Jared?
other bathroom rules. No, I do have other bathroom rules.
Okay.
But that is the main one that comes to my mind, I should say, rather.
I mean, yeah, I would say when possible, don't be standing right next to somebody.
Yeah,
at the
people
urinal.
don't,
It's just weird.
Some people don't give a shit, though. And I don't understand those people. But I'd say second to that, especially in public bathrooms, is just no conversations. No, especially whilst peeing. Dude, I can't tell you. I've had conversations.
Do you have people talk to you?
Mostly it's been coworkers at various jobs I've had.
What?
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
At all jobs I've had. Every job I've
Okay.
had, probably. For the most
What
part.
did you?
I've had
used to go to the bathroom with the boys or something? Be like, all right, guys, it's bathroom break.
No, yeah, that's what I do, Chad. I invite them in, and I say, "Hey, boys, it's bathroom time. Let's chat."
Let's chat.
And I put in a reminder on their calendars. It goes off
There
15
you
minutes
go.
beforehand so they can get ready with the hot
Perfect.
goss.
Do you send them a Zoom link just to be safe?
Yeah,
know,
if you can make
zoom
it,
in with
if
your
you're
phone?
at home because you're anti-vax, go to your own bathroom, zoom in, and talk to us from your bathroom. But you have to be peeing. We're all peeing, by the way,
Exactly.
or shitting. We'll talk over the cube over the. We don't care. That's exactly
The
what
stalls?
I mean. Yeah.
Oh man, you're right though. Yeah, dude. Why do some people think it's cool to talk while you're doing your business?
I don't know.
I've never got that.
I don't know. And there's something about the work relationship where it seems to happen the most.
Right.
I mean, I feel like I've talked to my family less while I'm peeing in a public restroom than I have coworkers.
Oh, for sure.
Not and
Can I ask you this, Jared? what do you do, or what kind of goes through your
I'm
mind?
a
if
coward,
you're like,
Chad. I talk to him, and I hate every
You talk
second
to
of
him?
it. And I
Okay.
pee, and my pee goes from a stream like to because I'm like end this as quickly as possible because I want to kill myself. I hate it.
Oh, geez.
I hate it.
You know what you got to do though, Jared? In the future, if they're standing next to you, you just got to pee on their shoe to establish dominance.
Okay, that's a great idea. Yeah.
That's what I've been hearing in the manosphere. You know, you got
maybe they'll like
pee-
it though, and then they'll elevate to me just pissing in their mouth, and now we have a
Oh,
relationship.
jeez. That's one way to spice up the workplace, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do we have
geez.
to disclose that to HR?
Probably.
I'm in a relationship with Steven in accounting. But to be fair, I don't really even know his last name. We just have a similar piss schedule, and I just do it in his mouth now. He seems to like it.
What do you got next for me, Jared?
Oh, I mean, here's a basic one. And I've never seen this written anywhere, but if you don't follow it, you're an asshole. This works on both the public transportation or elevators, and it's those getting off go first.
Oh,
Similar
for sure.
to me and Steven's rule in the bathroom.
Yeah, dude, I've never understood people who try to like get right into any public transport when other people are trying to leave. It's just like, just wait a second. It's not like the doors are going to
Yeah.
close and you won't be able to get on. Just stand by
it really
the
makes
side,
no
wait.
sense. It's like, well, see, now I have to go past you two to get off. Before I could
Right.
just get off without having to go. Yeah, no.
That's why when Jared exits most public transportation, he's got both elbows up, ready to go to knock over any of those folks trying to come in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. Here's my next one. Do you believe in? We'll get to that one later. I'll ask you about that one later. Snitching. Not a fan.
Oh, snitches get stitches.
Not
Jared.
a fan.
Snitches
And listen,
get stitches.
if it requires jail time, I might reconsider. But in my daily life, where someone, I'm not a huge fan of snitching, or those people that even try to like subtly, like they might not characterize it as snitching, but rather just explaining the situation. I don't like that. Throwing people under the bus
Right.
might be the better version.
Oh, yeah,
for,
that's terrible.
For what I'm talking about, snitching involves
Right.
someone's life, someone's money, jail time. You know, the law. I'm just talking about
I mean,
throwing
it's the
someone
adult
under the
version
bus.
of being a tattletale.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Nobody likes a tattletale.
Yeah. No one likes a tattletale as a kid. No one likes it as an adult. Yeah. It's not a good. It's a weak move.
Right. No, I'd agree with that one 100%.
Here's a classic one. Don't start eating until everyone gets their meal.
Oh, that's a good one. That's
You
a
know what I
really, really
hate
good
about-
one. And go ahead.
You know what I hate about this one is that every time you're out at a restaurant eating a meal with people, they always say, "Oh, go ahead, eat, start." Every single time,
Right.
And you're gonna be like, "No, I can't. I'm not gonna," even though you really want to, and you don't even really care about the stupid rule. You're just like, "Fine, all right, yeah, no, let's all sit around and wait here for everyone to." I get it; it's a nice rule, but I think I'm more bothered by people saying "go ahead and eat" than the fact that that's a rule. Because it's like,
Well,
what
the
we're
other thing
doing
about
here. You
that-
do the same thing, and then you'd be the same sort of. If the rules were exactly reversed, the person saying "go ahead and eat" would be the exact same person be like, "No, I'm going to wait. I'll just wait.
Right.
I don't want to eat by myself."
Oh, for sure. The other thing about that though too, Jared, is depending on where you live. I mean, some places the elders, tend to begin to eat first. Either the matriarch or the patriarch of the family.
Matric? Is that what they call it? I've never heard that word in my
What?
life.
Matriarch?
Oh, is that what you said?
Yeah, matriarch or patriarch.
Oh, I said
yeah.
I thought you said matric and patric.
No, matriarch. I thought I said
Oh,
matriarch
I'll
or patriarch.
let you know when I edit this.
Yeah, you can edit it. You can find out. You're going to send me a text.
Yeah.
I know immediately. So that's another thing too, though. You are right, though. It is definitely kind of a pain when you've gotten especially at a restaurant, and if it's going to be a little while when the people get their food.
Yeah.
That always does kind of suck.
You're just looking at it. looking at the cheese.
It's just slowly
get
getting
hard.
cold.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, oh, cold melted cheese is the worst.
That's true.
But I said, oh.
Cold eggs, too. I don't know why, but just like
cold eggs is, yeah, that's not good. Although, to be fair, a lot of cultures have mastered the cold egg. I'm not a big fan of it, but like a lot of Asian cultures, for example, have mastered the cold egg, but I'm still not a huge fan of it. But yeah, no, I'm with you. And especially an egg that you expect, to be clear, you're talking about an egg you expect to be warm, but is now cold, which is a lot different.
Exactly. Oh, for sure. I mean, eating in general, Jared, there's a lot of kind of unwritten or unspoken rules in different cultures, like whether or not it's okay to burp or not. You know, like in the U.S., if you did that, can you imagine if you were like at a nice business dinner and you just let a loud burp go, how bad that would be? But then in like some Asian cultures, that's totally fine, and that's a way to like do a compliment to the cook.
Wow, thank you. Wow. That burp. Right? You must. Wow. I'm flattered by that burp. Yeah, or you do like a what if you do like a just like a, and they're like, all right, asshole, you didn't have to, like, listen, just don't burp at all.
Right.
You know, that's cool too.
What happens, my question, Jared, is what happens if you accidentally fart at like a fancy get together?
Now that would be amazing. You know, they call it on your mom's house a double pipe classic. What if it started with just like a burp so magnificent that they're like holding up their finger, like, hold on. And then like a fart pops in on top of that, and they're like, wow. And I can imagine the host of that party being like, "You gave me the greatest compliment I've ever received in my life. Thank you. You know what? Take this bottle of wine with you as a thank you, or
get your ass out immediately."
No,
it smells like something died in here.
Are there any? Speaking of which, are there any? We talked about bathrooms, and you brought up home bathrooms. Are there any unwritten rules to using someone's bathroom at home?
The thing that weirds me out a little bit, Jared, of using like people's bathrooms at home is like if you see a bunch of towels, but you don't know which one is like the one that you should be like drying your hands on.
Your house? You mean your house?
I mean just like when you go to someone's house in general.
I understand,
especially.
But I mean,
new.
Like your house.
I think our house, the one right next to the toilet is the. But you're right. There's like 2 or 3 in that bathroom, aren't there?
Why are you trying so hard to say no to me? Just
no, you're right.
Your good podcast always starts with yes and. You know. Well, no, you don't.
No, you're absolutely right. My bathroom itself, though, Jared, there's only 2 towels, so at least you got a 50-50 chance.
My parents did the same thing. And there would always be like those decorative like disposable napkins, and then there would be like the like a towel or something. Oh, my parents would get so mad if I used one of the disposable napkins. They're like, "That's not for you. That's for the people we care about. That's for the people we're trying to impress, and that's definitely not you." They would legitimately be like, "Why are you using this?" What? And they're like, "There's a towel right there," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I like these." They're like, "That's not what it's for." And I'm like,
"You're not one of the fancy people." Jared.
Yeah. You just use the rag that we keep on the floor.
So you had one, Jared, about public transportation, about waiting for everyone to get off who needs to get off, which I think is a great one. Another one as well, though, that I think is, I don't really know if this is maybe just too obvious, and that's why it's kind of an unwritten rule, or well, some places it is actually a legitimate written rule, I think, just not talking or being too loud in public transportation. That could be, a big one in a lot of different places, and you will stick out like a sore thumb if you are being loud on public transportation. I would say in like 80 to 90% of the places in the world.
80 to 90% of that's a big.
I know that's a bold statement, but I mean, Jared, when I've been in Germany, Czech Republic, China, all of those places, it was pretty quiet on public transit.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been reprimanded in Austria.
Have you really?
How many times do I have to say this, and this must be the 4th time, and I'm not even exaggerating, that I've
Clearly
said this.
I've got amnesia.
And you'd be like, "Have you really?" Yeah.
Who were you with? With Logan?
Who's Logan? You mean Nolan?
Or Nolan, yeah.
You don't remember. You have like the brain of the woman from 50 First Dates. What's her name? What the hell is her name? Kirsten Dunst. You have the.
Isn't that Drew? Isn't that Drew Barrymore?
It's Drew Barrymore. I love how you let me sit there in silence, get it wrong, and then you're like, "It's Drew Barrymore."
Well, I thought you were right.
You are. I feel like this is a antagonistic podcast relationship we have. No help. Let's let him sit there in silence for like 5 seconds. Get it wrong, and then I'll correct him.
Got to work through it a little bit.
Thank you.
You know. When did that happen though?
It was in Austria, dude. I was just on the subway. It wasn't even an Austrian person, I don't think.
Okay.
At least she didn't have an accent that sounded like she was Austrian. And she's like, "Could you please be quiet?" And I don't even remember what I said because it was so long ago.
You were like, "No, 9."
I'm going to be louder now because you said that. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I am quiet.
Exactly.
No, but I did. I said
like
some passive aggressive stuff like I always do in situations like that. But
I feel like that would be a perfect like Tim Robinson skit. You know what I mean? Just like getting progressively louder and louder on public transportation. People telling him to be quiet and be like, "But I don't know what you're talking about. I'm being quiet."
Tim Robinson. Oh, okay, I thought his name was Tim Robbins for some reason. But you're right.
Is it?
No,
I
it's
thought
Tim
it was Robinson, right?
But I was like, who is that? Yeah. You know what? Actually, that does remind me of is the sketch where was it Will Forte sitting next to him on an airplane. And because
where he's crying like the
as
baby?
a baby, he bothered him on a flight, so he like tracked him down, and then he was in the wrong seat, not sitting next to him, and he was in the back of the plane, and they couldn't even hear him with noise canceling headphones on anyway.
Yeah, I think. Oh, that brings up a good rule though, Jared. I think if people have headphones on, just don't bother them. Like, I've never understood when people try to talk to me if I have headphones, especially like over the ear noise canceling.
It doesn't matter what kind of headphones. If you have headphones on, don't talk to someone.
No, I agree.
With you. Yeah, I mean, especially at like an airport. That seems like an airport rule to me, where it's like if you're at an airport and someone is sitting next to you with on the airplane, they don't want to talk about where they're going. They don't want to talk about their sister-in-law's birthday party that they're about to attend or whatever. No one wants to hear it.
Right.
I have a final unwritten rule here, and then I can't wait to get to more of your list. And this one I don't have an answer on, but I know you do, Chad. Ooh, I know you do. Do you believe in bro code or girl code?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Can you name some primary codes that bros should follow?
Sure, I can try. Like, I think one big bro code is like, don't date one of your friend's exes.
Yeah. What if you ask?
Like, that's just weird. Even if you ask, it's weird. Like, I would say there needs to be, I think there's a lot of variables, but it needs to be a long amount of time. Like, one of my exes, actually, one of my buddies had a crush on her, but it was like nothing really ever happened. They didn't date or anything. And when he had a crush on her and all that happened, that was like 3 or 4 years beforehand. And I did ask him, actually, hey, is it cool? Like, we went out on a date.
Because he had a crush on her really years before?
Right. But so I think that's okay. But like, had they have dated for like even a couple of months,
I love how you even
I think
asked.
that's just weird.
He had a crush on her years before. And you're like, is this cool, dude? And it's like, you haven't even... Okay, well, you're an honorable man. I'd be like, who cares?
I tried, Jared.
She clearly has no interest in you. It's been years.
But me,
you've gotten nowhere. She doesn't even know your name, so I don't have to ask you. So that's a bro code. Is you have to ask, even
that would
if
be
they
a bro code.
Have the slightest feelings for someone.
Sure. I think another big bro code too is like, I hate to say this because generally speaking, I don't like lying, but, you know, if you got to lie for your bro, sometimes you got to, you know?
Lie about them like cheating or something?
Could be a plethora of things.
I'm not lying for my friend about cheating. I won't say anything. I won't tell on them. But don't expect me. Nah, probably is.
So if your buddy's girlfriend called you up one day and was like, Jared, you know, say eventually I meet.
I'm not even kidding.
Okay.
I don't answer the phone when my friends call me. I'm not going to answer the phone when their girlfriend calls me.
That's true.
But also...
That's true. Okay.
Also, I'd be like, If they call me, I'd be like, why are you asking me? This is you. And I also then call my friend.
That's a good answer.
I'd be like, I'm not in your relationship. But then I'd also call my friend and be like, we're not friends. Why is your girlfriend calling me about?
Dang, bro.
About your stupidity. Cheat like a professional.
I was dating a girl.
Cheat like an adult. You're a terrible cheater. Don't drag me into this. I'd be so mad if I were dragged into someone's terrible cheating scheme.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm trying to think of other examples of bro code.
So to go back to your bro code, I'm not lying for you if you're a terrible cheater. Also, don't tell me. Just don't even tell me. Cheat in private like a professional. Don't tell me.
Don't get Jared involved. What are some... Yeah, I'm trying to think. What are some other bro code type things? Well, I mean, I guess... I hate to say this, and maybe this is also an incredibly stupid one.
The last terrible one, too, you hated to say.
Right. Well, Jared, like, for example,
also,
I was out with you.
Before you hate to say this other one, I'm also not going to jail for your ass. Well, I'm not going to lie for you and be like, no, I don't... Mr. Officer, I don't know where they were the morning of the 4th, even though they told me, listen, the morning of the 4th, I'm going to go kill this motherfucker, and just don't tell anyone where I'm at. If the cops say, hey, we see there's a phone record of the morning of the 4th, I'm going to be like, yeah, he told me he was going to go kill his friend. I don't know what to tell you.
So you are not a ride or die type of friend, I guess, Jared.
I'm a ride. I'm not a die. I'm not dying for you.
Okay.
I'm not dying for you, especially if you did something that I agree is wrong.
That's fair. All right, that's fair. But I do think another bro code would be, for example, if we're at a bar and somebody pushes you,
no,
I'm going to be there to help you out.
What? Okay. So now you're. What does that mean? What does that mean?
What if one guy pushes you, then his buddy sees and his buddy gets involved? Then there's two guys on you.
What sort of Jersey Shore lifestyle are you living, Chad?
A pretty wild one.
You're telling me if a stranger just out of nowhere pushes your bro in the back, you're ready to fight that person?
Yeah. I'm ready to help my friend in that situation. Whether that means pull their ass out of the bar, whether that means
you know, I was on the fence. I told you at the beginning of this, I was on the fence about how I felt about bro code. You've convinced me that it's the stupidest fucking thing in the world.
Okay, fair enough.
All of your examples have been increasingly more convincing about how dumb,
how stupid it is. Okay, fair enough.
I gotta lie for you and almost get in trouble. I gotta get into a fight just off of some bullshit, just off rip. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to fight now. I was having a good time. Some stranger pushed you out of nowhere, and now we just gotta beat him down like some sort of cheap suit or whatever. I don't know. It's that's a great English untranslatable word. Beat him like a cheap suit.
Do you have other? That is a good one. Do you have any other examples of bro code?
Those are good examples of bro code, Chad. I'm not saying those are bad examples. I'm saying that when I hear the examples and when I think them through, I think bro code is the stupidest thing ever.
Would you call it toxic masculinity, Jared?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because what you're saying, by the way, these codes, none of those things that you said should have any sort of exclusivity to a dude. So some sort of just strange dude, I don't know. I feel like none of these things
Bro code's reserved for your bros, though. If it's some strange dude, hell no. I'm not going to get in a fight for him. I'm not going to lie for him.
That's fair. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, bro code, I guess, is kind of more friend code. I mean, if I was at a bar with one of my female friends and she got pushed.
Maybe that's what I'm getting at. I think just this idea, maybe it's the idea of like, listen, I'm sticking up for my dudes before women any day. That's kind of where bro code originated from. But
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, because that's what it is. It's like, listen, if my bro's trying to bang some chick, but his girlfriend's coming to me, I'm gonna be like, listen, he's out at the gym. We're gonna go get a workout in. We're getting a pump in. When really we all know Chad's getting a pump in. You know.
Getting more like a hump in, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, there. You did
it. Sorry, I couldn't resist. He gave me that alley-oop,
you do not have to
I had to dunk it.
Chad, please.
I had to dunk it. I think another weird unwritten rule, though, Jared, is, and this is not related to bro code whatsoever, But I do like that you brought up bro code because that is an interesting thing I hadn't thought too much about really. But another one that's kind of a weird unspoken or unwritten rule is eye contact. Like sometimes it's okay. Other countries, like you don't want to give direct eye contact. It's really weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There was someone that I remember, and I respected it, but it also kind of freaked me out. I'm terrible with eye contact. I don't care if you're my mother or some stranger at the grocery store. I'm not good at looking people in the eye when I talk to them. But there was one person who would, you could almost tell. Well, I guess it would make sense if I explain who it is. It was a therapist I had for like a month before I moved to Philadelphia, and that kind of ruined that. But anyway, she would make a point. She wouldn't say anything about it, but she would make a point. I feel like it. At least I would feel like it. She would make a point to like look me in the eye, almost like track down my eyes.
That's how she's connecting you, getting into your soul, Jared.
And I think, and I've also seen it actually. Now that I think about it, I've seen it a couple times in an interview as well. And I'm like, oh, I gotta actually make a.
When they stare you down,
is that what you equate eye contact to? Staring someone down?
No. But I mean, if you're making nonstop eye contact, I mean, I guess it kind of is a little stare down.
So you're saying making eye contact with someone is not staring someone down, but there's a level where it turns into staring someone. So
sure.
So there's healthy eye contact where you're clearly
Yes.
engaging and making eye contact, but you're not staring at them. Jesus
Correct.
Christ! This is why I just don't look at anyone at all.
I
didn't know you can stare at them too much. So if you're in a direct conversation with someone, you can look at them too much.
Sure. If you never took your eyes off their eyes, dude,
Yeah,
that would
like
be
a
weird.
freaking. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess if you put it that way, if your gaze never wavers for a solid 30 minutes to an hour, that's concerning. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Once again, Jared, way to establish dominance.
Yeah.
That's how you walk out of that job interview with your chest out and your head held
Is
high.
that what you want to do in an interview? Establish dominance?
That's right. No, not at all.
Okay.
These are not legitimate interview tips, people. But yeah, I think eye contact is a big one. I will say this though. I think eye contact though is a really good unwritten rule as well, though, Jared, on dates, because I think if you really want to establish a connection with somebody, it's helpful to make eye contact with that person.
Yeah. I think about that a lot.
Now,
I have
interestingly enough, though,
and I feel like that's effed me up in a lot of dating situations. Just not.
It's all right, Jared. Next time I come over, we'll just stare into each other's eyes until you're just not uncomfortable with eye contact anymore.
Perfect.
Problem solved.
Perfect.
But I mean, the other thing too about
my favorite bro code
eye contact
rule regarding eye contact is
What's that?
when you're in a devil's threesome. The bro code rule is you only make direct eye contact with the man. You got to stare them deep in the eye for the entire time. And I follow that rule every time I have a doubles threesome. I haven't not followed it yet.
Also establishing dominance as well, though, Jared. That's also why you do that in a devil's threesome.
Well, how did this turn into how do you establish dominance upon people episode? It's like the 14th time you've said that.
Right? It's because I'm just messing around. But the other thing, though, too, Jared, with eye contact is in hierarchical cultures where, like, age and seniority is really, really important. In the U.S., we're a lot more casual about a lot of that, I would say.
I wouldn't say that. I would say we have a different
that?
expectation of eye contact. I don't think it means we're more casual, but I think that there is more of an
Oh, I would say we're more casual.
I think there's an expectation for eye contact in professional experiences, situations, and it's just our culture is different where it's not like some sort of hierarchical dominance thing if you were to like look someone in the eye that's above you. I think that it's a respect thing for you to look someone in the eye of all generations, and that's just I think it's more of a cultural thing than like our laissez-faire. Because I think there's still a expectation for eye contact, and it does represent something important in especially business relationships in America. It's just a different culture and a way that we approach it.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. The point I'm trying to make is that in the West, I think we're more casual about hierarchy in general. For like, we just don't use titles like they do in a lot of other countries. I don't think it carries as much weight. I don't think, like, even our language, Jared, like I know in Korean and I think also Japanese, I could be wrong about Japanese, but I know in Korean, they have different ways you address people depending on their age and their status, right? Whereas all we have in our own language really is sir or madam, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think as Americans, we do tend to be, obviously, if we're talking about like a very professional setting, it's a little bit different. But I would say, generally speaking, Americans are pretty casual about a lot of things.
Okay.
Like
I know you love
unwritten
to
rule,
shit on
Jared.
America, so I'm not gonna take that away from you.
Let me keep on shitting on America then,
We're
Jared.
the
Let me
problem,
give you another unwritten
and every
rule.
other country is who we need to follow because everyone else is doing it right, and we can't do anything
That's right. That's right. We definitely can't.
But everyone else, they got to figure it out.
Another big unwritten rule, though, is like what's quote unquote appropriate societally or culturally when you leave the house, right? So you'll see Americans, no problem, go to. Especially, it was funny. I was skimming through Penn State's like Guide to American Culture before this episode, and they mentioned that like American college students will go to class in like a hoodie and sweatpants, whereas I guarantee you will probably not see that in most other places in the world.
Yeah, probably.
So I think that's kind of an unwritten rule too, is like I mean, technically speaking, you can wear whatever the heck you want, but what's appropriate culturally can be very, very different. Like I definitely never saw any of my students in China wearing like a baggy hoodie. Actually, no, that's not true. I did see a couple of them. That's not true. Definitely not when I was in Germany or Austria, though.
I disagree. You don't understand style. There's plenty of stylish baggy hoodies. You just don't get it. But I agree with you. I think that there's definitely different expectations, unspoken rules on expectations for like fashion and stuff, or what you wear. Generally, like when I moved to Germany, my just awareness of what I wore increased substantially. And it was sort of like a full wardrobe change. It's like, all right, now I need to fill my closet with, I don't know, H&M sweaters or whatever the fuck these Europeans like to wear.
I could see that. I mean, the same thing happened to me when I was in Vienna. That's for sure. And I mean, just even what you see different people wear, you know. I remember like way back in the day, sneakers weren't even really a thing in Europe, and now they're huge. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's interesting how a lot of that changes.
Which is why I'm saying with the big hoodies that you also don't understand fashion, because
that's fair.
You know, the white, like if when I first moved to Germany, if you were wearing like white dad sneakers, you're a freaking loser, and you stick out like a sore thumb. When we were in Berlin in Czech Republic, I was shocked. Apparently, K-Swiss sneakers are cool. The number of just like white sneakers that I didn't even know still existed. Like K-Swiss as a brand, I'm like, oh, those still exist? Or like, whoa, I can't think of the other one. But there's another.
Champion was a big one. There's another one I can't think of. But Champion was a big one too. So yeah, it's just, you know, the style trends. But that is, style trends in general are a big sort of unspoken rule, and you know, you have to know, and it's not even just a country thing. You know, it's like you know, the social media stereotype, which I think is a real thing, of like New Yorkers wearing Timberland boots year round, and that being, you know, and so it's like it might not be weird to see someone wearing like Timberland boots in summer at a party. But if you're in like Miami, they're like, "Hey, what's with the freaking work boots at this beach party?" Right. From New York.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Accent, but right. Exactly. Come on, this is Tony. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember too, I forget what year it was, but one of the years when I went, either when we went to Vienna or when I went with the group with MSU on study abroad, one of the like people in the study abroad office, I think it was actually back when we were in Albion, they told us, like, do not wear white sneakers because, yeah, as you said, like, you'll stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, I feel like you could rock, especially as you said, if you got some like white K-Swisses, or even I saw some people in Germany, Jared, rocking some like, I think, New Balances. Grab some white dad style New Balances and you'll be one of the fashionistas over there.
I think the furthest I might consider is like an all-white shell toe. The thing about I used to love a shell toe back in the day. The thing about all white is it's just like it stresses me out to wear an all white shoe. I don't like it. I'm gonna get it
too dirty. Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's bound to happen. That's for sure. Another unwritten or unspoken rule too, Jared, is small talk. Like in the U.S., I feel like at least, especially in the Midwest, folks love their small talk. Whereas, like, I've read a lot of, like, Scandinavian countries, small talk's not really a big thing. I can tell you from firsthand experience, Czech Republic, small talk is not a big thing. I had a lot of students ask me, too, like, about
it's
small
not
talk.
a thing in Germany.
That's true, too. They like those deep talks. I kind of like that, though.
Yeah, but not with a stranger.
Happens sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Everything happens sometimes. But no one wants to... You're going to tell me that Germans love to just strike up conversation. They're like, listen, I don't want to hear about your day, but tell me about what ails you on the subway. Is that what you're telling me?
Tell me about the meaning of life. No, probably not. Okay. No, that would annoy the shit out of people.
Once again, Chad not being able to disagree with me, but he has to be like, no, they love the deep talk.
No, I do agree with you.
You're saying they love the deep talk, and I'm like, that's not... But they don't want... All right, that's not the... All right, go ahead.
You know, another one, though, too, speaking of, like, unwritten rules and manners, though, is a lot of countries where they have a lot of big cities, you just don't say, like, excuse me or pardon me if you bump into somebody. Me as a Midwesterner, I tend to say, like, sorry, excuse me, pardon me, something like that if I accidentally bump into somebody. And, like, when I was in China, it's just, like, if you said something, people just kind of look at you like what? Like, yeah, of course you're going to bump into me. We're in this subway packed like sardines or in this train and there's no room. So, you know, so I think it's good to know and not take it personally if someone doesn't say something to you when they bump into you.
So the unwritten rule there is that in those situations, you don't have to expect an apology. Like the unwritten rule is don't expect like someone to be sorry for bumping into you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Exactly. That makes sense.
And also, you are not expected to apologize either,
right?
Which I think is good to know.
Right. But once again, I'll go back to my original statement. Actually, no, I'm not. I don't think it applies to this. But I was gonna say no one would take it personal. Like no one would be offended. But people might be like, "Why are you even talking to me?" So I could actually see it in that case. Please and thank you might be a little different than that. It's like, well, now you're slowing me down for this. So yeah, no, I don't want to. I take that back.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's just because it's one of those things that just happens so often that you'd have to be, apologizing or saying excuse me all the time. Here's one, Jared, that I think you're more of a mountain biker, but either way, maybe you've got some thoughts on this. Standing in the bike lane.
What do you mean?
Is it okay? Is it not okay? What do you think?
What do you mean standing in the bike lane?
You're walking, and instead of walking on the sidewalk, for some reason you've decided to walk in the bike lane.
Well, I don't even know why you would do that. That's an obvious no. That makes no sense to me.
Right. Well, I agree with you, but I think some Americans who maybe aren't always aware of their surroundings.
Only
I think
Americans
when we were in the
would be
Czech
so
Republic
dumb to do such a thing. Only Americans have no concept of what a bike lane is.
Let me rephrase. Naive tourists.
No, you're right,
that?
Chad. Only Americans would be so stupid to not even understand what a bike lane is.
Well, some places we don't have bike lanes, Jared.
But
so,
everywhere,
if you go to a country,
everywhere in the rest of the world, they have bike lanes.
A lot of places do.
A lot of places do. Like the U.S., for example. I'm just saying, I've been to many. I just love how you just make it seem like the U.S. is just some sort of haphazard place of fucking idiots, which is true. But so are a lot of places in the world. Plenty of places are. I've been to plenty of places. I was in Tanzania, and like people getting hit by cars is one of a major level of concern because they don't have any sort of sidewalk at all. Right. So it's just so funny to me that you're like, yeah, but Americans, the idea of a bike lane is just perplexing to them. They can't even perceive how to handle such a thing.
Don't even get me started with roundabouts, Jared.
That I agree with,
actually. But my next one for you, though, Jared, and I've seen videos of this as well. We've talked about this actually in a couple of my culture classes back in graduate school. One of them is like crossing the road in certain countries, like in places like Vietnam where you have all these scooters whizzing in and out. you need to just like kind of pick a lane and just like go like and just keep walking, because when you stop is actually usually when the accidents happen.
Yeah.
You know, if you keep walking, people will time, riding and swerving around you with you walking. But if you, abruptly stop somewhere, that can cause issues. So I think that's kind of an interesting unwritten rule, is you just have to commit and just go for it.
When I lived in Germany, we took a trip to London, and for the first couple days, it was a weird adjustment for us because in London, they don't not jaywalk. Like, I feel like if it says walk, they'll stop, and if it says stop, they walk. Like, that's the level of jaywalking that happens there, at least when I was there. And,
Right.
I'd been in Germany for however long at that point, where no one jaywalks. So it probably took a solid day for us to be like, okay, we can jaywalk, and no one's they're looking at us for not jaywalking. So jaywalking is definitely a big one, where some places, they're like, don't jaywalk. I have a friend who got he's not my friend anymore. I had a guy that was my friend at one point, and he got a ticket in California for jaywalking. And
Really?
And in some places they'd be like, "Why are you standing here when no one's there?" I've been in places in Detroit where I feel like they make a point not to use the crosswalk. It's like, are you trying to get hit?
Right.
But hey.
Yeah, I guess you got
to know the unspoken rules.
Know your place. Exactly. Here's one, Jared, that maybe you can gleam a little light for me. In the South, when folks say "bless your heart," I feel like this could go in a couple different directions.
So what's the rule?
Well, right
The
here
rule
it
is to
says,
not-
Southerners in the USA, be very mindful if someone says "bless your heart," because that could mean you've earned high favor, or you've just stepped in a big old pile of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering though, like, how do you tell the difference though? Because I've heard Southerners say "bless their heart," and sometimes I legitimately don't know, Jared, if they mean it in a sincere way or like look at those idiots over there kind of way.
First of all, this is not an unspoken rule, but I'll explain it to you. Because this is not a rule,
Okay.
this is just an untranslatable.
Okay,
But I'll explain it to you. First of all, context. Second of all,
sure.
it doesn't necessarily matter I'd say first is context, 100%. If someone wins an award and they say bless your heart, I don't think it's an insult. If someone
Okay.
gets arrested for a DUI and they say, hey, it's context, I'm just going to keep going, as I said. And then second of all, I would say that it doesn't matter, because whether it's passive aggressive or whether it's a lie or not, the quote unquote sentiment is the same, where it's like just hoping for the best for this person, whether it's because something great happened to him or because they're really down in the dumps and you can only hope for the best. It all means the same. Regardless of the situation, you're hoping for the same thing.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
But I don't. I'm going to go back to say I don't understand how that is an unspoken rule. That's just an untranslatable.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Bless your heart is a big one, though. I heard it a lot when I was on my road trip. That's for sure. Not spoken to me personally, just folks around having conversations.
Yeah, they use it. I mean,
yeah.
My family uses it all the time.
I think it sounds kind of nice. Here's kind of an interesting one, though, Jared. And this also has to do with like a little bit of hierarchy, but also just like how you can show respect for others. So apparently in India, it's very common to refer to middle-aged and older people as auntie and uncle, or sir or ma'am. But I guess where it can get confusing, though, Jared, is once you kind of get to that cusp of adulthood in your 20s, where you're not a teenager anymore, you're not a kid anymore,
Yeah.
you're a young adult, and I have no advice or practical info.
Once
for
again,
our
not
listeners.
a rule, but I do.
Okay.
All these things are things that I can explain, yet have nothing to do with the topic. But I'll explain it because you ask. We do the same thing in the black community too. That it never goes away.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if you're older; they're still your aunt or whatever. But yeah, we do the exact same. I have cousins that are my cousin. People I call aunt that aren't my aunt. That's a normal thing in the black community as well.
Okay.
But I don't see how that's a rule. How is that a rule?
Well, I guess in India it can be seen as kind of disrespectful if you refer to them by their name and not as auntie or uncle.
Yeah, okay.
And if you didn't know that, like a foreigner like me, imagine me in India, Jared. I wouldn't know to call them auntie or uncle if I hadn't have read this article beforehand.
They expect that from a stranger too?
I mean, probably
but they're not your
but it's
aunt
good
or
to
uncle.
be. I don't think they have to be. That's the
but,
point.
But they're. I'm not saying they're that other person's aunt or uncle, but they're their symbolic aunt or uncle. That's what it is. You don't just say that to some old stranger. That's some sort of symbolic aunt
like
or
a close
uncle.
family
Yes.
friend. Okay, I see.
You wouldn't just say that to some stranger because someone else calls them aunt, even though they're not their aunt.
Well, I think in some Asian cultures, Jared, they do. You just refer to an older person as auntie or uncle.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I could be wrong about that though. So, folks,
you're the
let
one
us
with
know
the
if
list.
I'm wrong about that. But
you tell me.
I can tell you at least that's what it says about India. And while I was in China, Jared, I mean, a lot of folks call, kind of middle-aged Chinese women also as like auntie as well. I mean, that's what they called the cleaning lady that my ex-girlfriend had at her place.
Okay.
And she was by no means their aunt, and they didn't know her that well.
So
yeah.
See, Chad, this is why the list bothered me so much. Why don't you start with that anecdote rather than just reading off a list from that woman? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not bothered. I love your list. I don't want to take away from your list. Please continue on.
Well, Jared, I've been trying to do a little hybrid here instead of just read because there's a bunch of these. I mean, my last one, Jared, for you is, and maybe this isn't so much an unwritten rule, but just like having better knowledge of culture, is know the proper way to greet somebody. Because, shaking hands in different cultures can mean different things. The way you shake hands, like, I feel like when I was a kid, a lot of people told me you need to have a firm handshake when you meet somebody. Mm-hmm. But it's like, well, in some cultures, if you do that, that actually can come off as being like a little bit aggressive. Like, I know in China, I didn't, use a super firm handshake because I had been told that that's one of those things where it can be a little bit disrespectful. You know?
When I get a super firm handshake these days, I'm like, all right, bro, relax. But then when I also get a
dead fish,
I'm also like, hello, did we just greet each other or like what was that? I don't know what just happened.
Right.
So I don't like either extremes. Because I did recently actually get one of those like firm ones, and they put like their whole arm into it. They're like, "How you doing?" And they're like, "I don't know." I was like, "What are you trying to prove through this handshake, bro?"
Right. Let me just say too, Jared. I've always liked. I guess Bali has really rubbed off on me. I just loved like the way they would greet with like the hands together, kind of like praying type of thing, and the slight bow.
Yeah.
That to me was so much nicer than having to do like a handshake.
How do you feel about
it's a close friend?
Rub?
I don't mind a hug.
There's a word that we use in the U.S., but I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore. But they're
a what?
Like a nose rub. There are some cultures where you'll do like a nose rub.
I know exactly what word you're thinking of, and I don't know if that's politically correct anymore to say. That's a good question. No, not cool with the nose rub. And really, kissing people on the cheek is, I find, a little weird, but that's me being a prude American.
It is you being. Can I say? Yeah, but as you've said many times, you're a fucking idiot because you're American. So what do you know? But I don't like the kissing either.
Using my words against me.
I don't like the kissing either. But because I know it's an unspoken rule, I'll put myself through that. Like I put myself through that in France and Italy before, even though I know I don't want to do it. Because it's like, yeah, this is what these people do, and I'm going to be because when you deny it, that's almost like someone like saying like, "Hi, my name's John," and reaching their hand out to shake it, and you just like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So I'll do it.
Not going to shake your hand,
but I don't like it.
Right. Well, I will say one of my neighbors wanted to shake my hand like midway through the pandemic. And it was a little awkward kind of shutting him down because like he's a nice guy. I like him. But he like reached his hand out and I was like,
yeah.
It's like, nope. Like I gave him, I think like a fist bump or something instead. But it was totally awkward.
Yeah. Now in hindsight,
super awkward.
Whether you fist bumped him or shook his hand. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that someone would. I've had a couple, the handshakes I've had in the past couple months, they're few and far between, but whenever they happen, I'm like, that was weird. Because I've had probably a handful of handshakes, and I'm like, every time I'm like, that was weird.
Yeah, it's really strange. It is really, really strange for sure. Well, Jared, let me give you one final, and I do mean final. I know I always say this, but I do mean final, Jared. My last unwritten rule for you, and this is for my Portuguese and my Brazilian brothers and sisters here, and I quote, "Speak with us in Spanish, and you will get punched in the face."
That's
So
fair.
there you go, Jared. Don't be speaking Spanish with people who speak Portuguese. Yes, the languages do sound similar. Yes, there are going to be some cognates. But try to learn a little bit of basic Portuguese if you're going to visit Portugal or Brazil.
What a
I would say
random
is a good
untranslatable or not untranslatable. What a random unwritten rule. You could have chosen so many places. You could say that like Quebec, try to speak French or something. That's hilarious. Hey,
Right.
yeah, the most important rule to go out on. If you're in Portugal, don't speak Spanish.
That's right. Or Brazil. Well, I just think
right.
it's
You said
funny. I have
Brazil.
so many friends from Brazil who will, always tell me like how annoyed they get when people ask them questions about Spanish, and they're like, "I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
Well,
from
it's
Brazil.
Similar.
We speak
You know the
Portuguese."
answer. Yeah, I could definitely imagine that.
Right.
I've started to not started to, but I see that I have coworkers that are Italian and Mexican, and it's when one of them speaks the other person's language, or for the other one to be like, I have no idea what that was. It's it's like, well, you guys are supposed to know each other's language. I thought they were the same. I thought the Italians just added an A to the end of everything. What are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, no, I don't know what they'd said at all.
Right.
It's a different language.
That reminds me of a meme, Jared, that I saw where someone wrote, they like had like a blockade in front of a door, and it said like, "Do not enter here," or like no entry or something. And then like below it, they had it in quote unquote Spanish, and it was like, "Entero somewhere else a row," and it was clearly not Spanish.
That's how that's literally how I imagine, like Italian to Spanish should go for, or Spanish to Italian should go for like native speakers. Where it's like, what do you mean you
Right.
can't understand this Spanish? Just add an A to it, and you have your language. What are you talking about?
It's that easy. Come on. Yeah, exactly. Here we are that we've had this podcast about foreign language learning. You travel for how many years now? We still think
We've
that,
learned nothing.
right? Clearly,
Yeah, we
not.
have learned
Well,
that
Jared,
Chad's list only get better and better as the episodes go on.
That's right. That's right. I do want to bring something back, though, Jared, that we haven't done in a long time that I used to do back when I think we were in the Czech Republic, and I just enjoyed this joke, and I wanted to tell you this joke. So I want to end today's episode, Jared, with a joke, actually. So, Jared, what do you call a playlist for hiking that has music from the Peanuts, the Cranberries, and Eminem?
That's a rough hike. A rough hike.
What do you name that playlist, Jared?
Sad, depressing. Well, go ahead, please
No.
tell me.
The Peanuts, the Cranberries, and Eminem, Jared. Think about it.
Oh, you do want? So you want me to give you the answer? I thought a joke is
you
like.
know
I
the
thought a
answer?
joke was like the person that asked the joke also gives the punchline. So I was.
Well, do you know
was
the
like
answer?
trying to figure it out.
If you know the answer, let's hear it.
I mean, it's something to do with like a peanut butter and jelly or something.
No.
Peanuts, cranberries.
The playlist is called Trail Mix, my man.
I see.
I think that's a funny dad
I
joke.
could tell that was a
so-
genuine laugh from you right there.
It was. That was a solid Jais. We haven't had a Jais on here in
I
a very,
forgot
very
about
long
that word.
time.
Great untranslatable.
Yep. So stupid that only, I guess, the person who tells the joke laughs. But anyways, let us know if you got any jokes or any unwritten rules we didn't mention on today's episode at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can slide into those DMs on Instagram, Untranslatable1. Also check us out on YouTube and Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. And please, 5-star reviews on iTunes. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. That was a fun one. I didn't think it was going to be an hour and a half, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I definitely did not either.
I had other stuff we could have talked about, but I figured.
More lists?
Oh, yeah. All the lists, Jared.
The lists. Why? Well, no, we don't need to talk about the list. I'll let you do your lists.
I tried to take the best ones from the list and talk about them. And obviously the Portuguese-speaking one by far was the most important.
Yeah, no, that was a strong one to end on. Don't speak Spanish.
Yep.
For sale.
That's right. I mean, another unwritten rule, too, though, is just learn a little bit of the language where you're going to visit.
I think that's asking a lot of someone, to be honest with you.
You think so?
I mean, I guess you can learn
Even
to
your
say...
pleases and thank yous?
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, okay. But I guess my question to you would be, what would be your expectation for someone going to a... How much Mongolian did you know when you arrived in Mongolia?
Oh, just thank you, and I don't even remember it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I guess that counts. You said learn a bit. That's a bit.
Right, teeny. I asked some. It was funny though, Jared. I asked some Mongolians while I was there, like, teach me some Mongolian. They just laughed. They were just like, "This is such a hard language." You know, like,
yeah. They're like, what does that even mean? What do you want from me?
Right.
That's one of those travel questions that kind of annoys me. You get that when you get that when you come back from a country, or you get that, like, you know, as a tourist, or like, you know, excuse me, as someone that lives in the country from a tourist. I never like that question. It's like, what do you mean teach you? What am I supposed to teach you in the next couple seconds here, you know?
Right.
See, but this is also why I don't sorry, I'm scrolling through Twitter and I'm just laughing. It's stupid. I don't know why. That's probably why you are so great in situations like that, and I'm not, because I'm like, all these small talk questions I find to be pointless and stupid.
I mean, some of them can be, but I have made some contacts and some friends.
Yeah, but I would say, but you still do them, you know. And and
it's all about your mindset, I
and
guess,
they work.
towards those.
And I'm just like, I don't want to sound
questions.
stupid, but it's like, yeah, but this stupidity is what starts conversations.
That's true. That is true.